Hello and welcome to a new episode of Tech Talk on Trust TV, where we talk technology. Today we'll be taking a closer look at tech innovation hubs in Nigeria with a focus on northern Nigeria. Joining us in the course of the program for expert insights is Ahmed Idris, a technology ecosystem expert. But as always, let's take a report on today's topic of discussion. My name is Dorcas. You're watching Tech Talk on Trust TV.
Nigeria is home to one of Africa's most dynamic tech ecosystems with vibrant hubs of innovation emerging across the country. While the southern regions, particularly Lagos and Abuja, tend to dominate the conversation, northern Nigeria is increasingly becoming a key player in the tech industry. This region, known for its rich history and diverse culture, is also emerging as a center of technological innovation, entrepreneurship, and digital transformation. Northern Nigeria's tech hubs are not only contributing to the country's economic development, but are also fostering a new generation of tech-savvy young people capable of addressing the region's unique challenges. To the big question, why Northern Nigeria? Northern Nigeria faces several socio-economic challenges, including high unemployment, low educational attainment in some areas, and limited access to infrastructure. However, these challenges also present opportunities for innovation, particularly in fields of agriculture, education, healthcare, and fintech. Tech hubs in the region are creating spaces where young people can learn the skills needed to innovate, collaborate, and build solutions tailored to the unique needs of northern Nigeria. Tech innovation hubs in northern Nigeria are playing an essential role in shaping the future of the region's economy. By fostering entrepreneurship, promoting digital skills, and addressing local challenges through technology, these hubs are helping to redefine northern Nigeria's potential.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Tech Talk, coming to you on Trust Television. Together with me in the studio now is Ahmed Idris, and like I said earlier, he's a technology ecosystem expert and is about to enlighten us on the topic of discussion. You're very much welcome to the program.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
All right. So to start off the conversation, what inspired you to go into tech?
Okay. So I've always been passionate about technology and how it affects people's life. Mm-hmm. And then growing up in northern Nigeria, I see that there was a huge gap where, there wasn't much technology infrastructure, tech talent wasn't really, hasn't really matured. The tech talent ecosystem wasn't really matured, and there was a lot of gaps in terms of the ecosystem coming together to kind of foster that growth. And then this prompted me to kind of want to bridge that gap. Mm-hmm. And that was how I started some activities and launched various initiatives.
Mm-hmm. So far so good. How has the journey been?
Well, it's been great so far. Despite all the challenges, I'd say that we've seen or made significant progress, and I believe that we still have more to go. And yeah, I'm very confident.
All right. So, what are some of these challenges you made mention of? It's not easy to set up tech innovation hubs. Some tech hubs, start, and then in 5 years or less than 5 years, they shut down. So what are some of these challenges that you face, establishing or starting a tech innovation hub in northern Nigeria, and how are you leveraging them?
So I think one of the key issues is infrastructure. Mm-hmm. There hasn't been much infrastructure available across that region, and although we've seen some recent policies that are trying to help the technology ecosystem and innovation hubs, which is very encouraging. But over the last few years, this was something that wasn't really there. Talent, like I mentioned, was also a challenge. And access to other key resources like finance was also a huge challenge. And then the ecosystem hasn't really seen, that revolutionary growth in terms of the type of enterprises like startups that are, digitizing or maybe innovating around the local problems in the community. and this has really posed to, a huge threat to the growth of the ecosystem.
So on your path, what are you doing to leverage those, challenges, to address those challenges rather?
So for me, what I've done is I try to solve the problems head on, but with a very long-term approach. And I do that through vehicles that include communities and organizations. So for example, I've built tech communities. I started one, it's called Code Pyramid, in 2016. We've had over 5,000 people who have come through our programs. Some of them are working in various companies across the world, in the UK, in the Netherlands, and so on and so forth. And that community, what we do, we help nurture tech talent by providing them with the right tools and resources that they need to grow. And apart from the community, I have also used, like I said, I have an organization, Innovate Lab, which is more like an innovation and impact organization, which most people like to call an innovation hub.
Yeah.
And all we do there is also to support startups and MSMEs, to look at various local problems and see how they could solve it through enterprise. This could be manufacturing, this could be even simple trading, and then a whole lot of other ideas that will help the ecosystem at large.
So far so good. How has the tech ecosystem been in northern Nigeria in the past 5 years?
Well, I would say it's been growing steadily, probably not as fast as I'd want it to be, but we've really seen significant increase in, there are a lot of moving parts and pieces now in the ecosystem. We now have more policymakers who are interested in the ecosystem. We have multinationals who are also interested in the ecosystem. State governments are also waking up, with the recent launch of the Arewa Tech Fund, which is a $50 million fund by the former governor of Kaduna State, which I was privileged to be part of. We've seen initiatives like more innovation hubs coming into the space, and then organizations that accelerate talent all coming into the space. Yeah, I think it's pretty much has reached a tipping point where it's about to become more mature than it was in the last 5 years.
So I'm taking us back to the speed of the growth. You said it's sort of slow. What do you think is responsible for this?
So I'll attribute that to 2 to 3 things. First has always been infrastructure. Then we're talking about also policy. Right, and when I say policy, I'm mostly talking about having the support of both policy makers and then the regulators as well. And then we're also talking about the lack of technology startups. There's businesses who are accelerating the growth of industries by leveraging on technology, transforming day-to-day challenges and local problems. So I feel like these are some of the things that we've seen in other regions that have catapulted those regions and kind of sort of put them in the limelight, and which we currently do not have much of. Yeah.
So how relevant do you think innovation hubs are to people? Right now, as technology keeps advancing day by day, you hear people say, if some people even, go to school, they graduate online and all of that stuff. So many people don't really want to be there physically. But then these innovation hubs are there. How relevant do you think, they are to people?
So I feel like, as someone who runs an innovation myself, I feel like one of the touch points for innovators and in fact for the technology and entrepreneurship ecosystem of any society is innovation hubs, right? Because they play key and pivotal roles in shaping, how that society turns out. And one of the reasons why they are beneficial in any society is because they provide tools and resources that are very, very essential to nurture and to grow people's talent and people's ideas and turn them into, platforms that will create more jobs for the people in that environment, or platforms that would create more impact and, shift, the social and economic status of those as communities that they are based in. So I feel like innovation hubs are really, really, really important, and they need more support than that they can get.
So for the most part, I've seen tech enthusiasts saying, oh, I've learned this course, and then finding a job is sort of difficult. So do you think this innovation hubs sort of provide support for this tech enthusiasts?
Yeah, they do. So the thing is, one thing you need to know is that there are various types of innovation hubs, right? Some focus on just talent development, and that's it, while some focus on talent development, job placements, and even sourcing for jobs for these people that they've trained. So it depends on the model of this innovation hubs, but basically, innovations hub do a lot, in preparing people for the workforce. And we're already in the fourth industrial revolution, as you know, and this is an era where it's not just about manufacturing anymore. It's about what you know, and it's about the skills you have. And who better than to give you or to help you get those skills than innovation hubs, and then ensure that you're able to make money from that particular skills.
All right, so let's go back to your company. What role do you think your company plays or will play in addressing issues such as infrastructure in Nigeria? Well, let's start with northern Nigeria, then we'll go to Nigeria and possibly the whole of Africa and the world.
Well, so I think for infrastructure, it's really a very, very, very big thing. And to be fair, I don't think my organization or organizations like mine alone would be able to solve this issue.
Okay, so you want synergy.
Yes, we're talking about collaborations, partnerships, but more importantly, having, stakeholders like governments, international organizations come in and to help ensure that these infrastructures are in place. And talking about infrastructure, these are basic things, right? We're talking about internet, just access to internet, for example, access to power. Now, you see, these are things that obviously the government needs to, take initiatives and lead this transformation. So innovation hubs alone cannot do that, but I believe that we can all work collaboratively to ensure that that is being achieved.
I was going to say digital education, but then earlier you spoke about the importance of innovation hubs. But do you think your company can also address such challenges like digital education?
Yes, I part of what we do actually is to ensure and to see that. So we've been part of what is called the NDLF, which is the National Digital Literacy Framework.
Okay.
And the goal of that framework is to see that digital literacy is embedded into the educational system of Nigeria as a whole, and not just in the educational system, even in the vocational system. So when just like the way you learn ABC for you to speak English, for you to become a literate, you also need digital skills for you to be a digital literate. And why that is even more important is because with digital skills, you don't need to have a degree. You don't need to show any. Of course, there are instances where you need some certificate, but you don't always have to show a certain type. You just need to have a skill and a level of experience, and that would qualify you to earn a living. To have something that you can sustain yourself, your family, your community, right? So, I think our role, as Innovation Hub, is to also provide inputs to see how we can support with, suggestions and, ensure that the framework of similar frameworks are implemented in the right way, such that everyone is going to benefit eventually as a nation. And basically, I feel like we've been doing some level of work already. Innovation hubs have been doing some level of work, and frameworks like this is what will eventually push and ensure that it's collectively successful.
So what do you think is hindering the immense growth of tech in Nigeria? What factors do you think are responsible for that?
Okay, so I think for technology, despite the fact that there's a rising trend in terms of acceptance of technology, the usage, but mostly that is around social media.
Okay.
And social media is just a component of technology, right? And yes, we see that there are more digital creators who are coming into the space, and that's good for the digital, for the creative economy, right?
Okay.
Which is also a subsect or a sector of the digital economy. But technology as a whole is seen. I feel like the major issues is that there's a lot of work going on, but it's in silos, right?
Okay.
So we need more people to come out. Those who are already working towards bridging the gap for people to shift from that level where they have no technology adoptance or usage, or and then bring them into this particular how will I say, just bring them into technology as a whole. So for specific challenges, I would say the lack of major people who don't have access to internet are in the rural areas. And that's explainable because they don't really have infrastructure like internet, like power, good roads, and then because all these things matter. If you want to go and learn digital skills and your road is bad, you can't. The nearest innovation hub is like 20, they even say it's just 10 kilometers away, but you have a terrible road and you cannot go there, right? And even if you do go there, you reach there and then the place itself don't have another infrastructure like power and internet to help you to learn those skills. So I think we need to invest heavily in infrastructure. If you ask me, all we need to do in this country is just to fix infrastructure. Infrastructure is the key to catapulting us to the level of the Japan, US, and all the other countries that are leading in technology.
So do you think there are government policies that are hindering the growth of tech in Nigeria? Are they helping to boost the growth of tech, or are they hindering this growth?
So I'd say they could do better, right? Government are really trying. I particularly have seen firsthand the work of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, and they've done tremendous work and are still doing. And I feel like, yes, they're on the right path. But of course, we could have other government agencies who are also supporting. And this is why I'm a very, I kind of really advocate for the domestication of that agency in every state. And I'm glad that some of these states have already started doing that. In Katsina, for example, they have something similar to NIDA at the state level. I know that Kano are also doing something similar, and it's in the work. So I wouldn't say they are hindering, the development of technology. All I would say is they could do better because it's really a big issue. Yeah, we know government is government, but even government alone cannot do everything. And we need to be fair to them. And this is why us in the private sector try to see and ensure that we collaborate and we work hand in hand so that we can all, collectively see that we solve these challenges.
Okay, so on the part of the private sector, you said collaboration, right?
Collaboration.
So what do you think government should do?
Sorry?
What do you think government should do?
Well, so they need to foster and create a level playing ground, and ensure that people are able to come, and then express their views, provide inputs, suggestions, and ensure that everyone is being heard, and then they will take that and see how they can now co-create solutions that will ultimately be beneficial to everyone. That's right.
All right, so since today's discussion is centered on northern Nigeria, the north and the south, side by side, what's the ratio like when it comes to adopting, tech?
So I don't want to be biased or anything, right? On the surface, it looks like, the south has more technology adoption.
Okay.
I'd say yes to a certain extent, but then when you look at it on the ratio of, population-wise, you'd see that if you put that ratio, it's probably the same number of people in the north and the south who are using technology, right? And
has
also,
it always been like that, or it's
no, it hasn't always been like that.
Okay.
I could say that a couple of years back, the southern part of the country has more technology adoption, but recently, I would argue that not the case because we've seen that there are so many people. You see someone in the village now, just on the YouTube.
Yeah.
You go to
TikTok.
You go deep into the bush, someone on his farm sitting down, and then you see that he's watching TikTok videos.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, it's social media, but still adoption. A couple of years back, most people don't even have access to that. They don't have smartphones or the phones they have are unable to access the internet, right? So what I would say is that I wouldn't want to comment really on whether if this region is far higher than that region. I just think that we just need to collectively, work together, come closer. The ecosystem is for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to a northern or southern ecosystem, right? Because if you build a product today in Kano, you can sell it in Lagos or in Onitsha. If someone builds a product in Ibadan, typical example are some of these POS companies.
Yeah.
Most of them are based in Lagos, but their highest customers are in the north. So if you start bringing those sort of arguments, it's kind of defeats the whole idea of building a sustainable national economy that leverages on technology. So
I would say statistics are not sometimes nice to we the northerners. You go online, you check the highest rate of illiteracy, they'll tell you northern Nigeria.
I agree.
And all of that.
I agree.
You agree?
So those are real issues, right?
Okay.
And they also need to be addressed. I agree. I agree that there's a large rate of out of school children in the north. Illiteracy level is through the roof, poverty level as well, right? But there's also an opportunity in that, right? And the opportunity is, in individuals, making themselves useful, to the society. And basically it's just about leveraging on digital technology to gain relevant skills, right? And this is why I'm particularly interested, and I appreciate the effort of the federal government in launching the 3 Million Tech Talent Initiative. That's the 3MTT initiative, which we're also part of as an innovation or as a learning or training provider. Initiatives like this ensure that more people have equal access, equal opportunity to compete with their counterparts across the world.
Exactly.
So you can have a girl, sitting in the balcony of her family house. She opens on a computer and she's chatting. She's working with a team of designers in Netherlands. Later in the day, she goes on a conference in Japan virtually, and she's doing her remote work in the comfort of her home, and she's being paid monthly in dollars. That is a vision that is really, really achievable, and it could be done. It's possible. We've seen it. It's actually been done. So I think that this is what we need to look at. This is the future we need to kind of work towards and collectively ensure that we're able to achieve it.
I love the fact that you're blowing the horns of the government,
Not really. Not really.
Sort of saying they're doing well. I mean, you're giving them their flowers.
You give credit to who deserves, right?
Yeah.
To who, yeah. So we need to be fair, right? Right. Of course, the government have their shortcomings, right?
Yeah, but they're trying.
Of course, they're trying in areas they are trying. So the thing is, the private sector has been really, really, isolated for a very long time. But over the last few years, the government has brought them closer. I could tell you that since the previous administration, I think we've seen more private sector engagement in terms of the technology and innovation ecosystem. And that has really, really, kind of shifted the dynamics for all of us. And I'm really happy because I've been in this space for quite a while. And this is why I just talk about it because, of course.
Yeah. So I want to talk about NIDDA.
Okay.
So does NIDDA work with, companies like yours, or do they just work independently as government, institutions?
So I don't know much about NIDDA, honestly, but what I know is that as a government agency, they are democratizing access to opportunity for everybody.
Okay.
So
it means
private sector can be engaged.
Okay.
So they've been engaging a lot of private sector and even individuals in a lot of the activities. This is from what I can tell. But I can't speak categorically for them, so I'm sorry.
No, you said enough already. So finally, what advice do you have for northerners that are looking at, breaking through in tech, whether it's in tech innovation hubs or they just want to be tech savvy themselves? What advice do you have for them?
So the thing is, first, I think we need a general mindset shift in the north.
Okay.
We must understand, our parents must understand that you can make money sitting at the comfort of your home. You can make money with your mobile phone. You can make money with a laptop, or with any gadget, desktop, you understand, as long as it has internet access and you can do work from it. So that's one thing. The youths themselves needs to understand that, but also believe that it's possible. So I've been engaging a lot of young people, and the major issue I see for us in the North is that will to see things through, right? I feel like we need to do more in that area. We are brilliant people, brilliant group of people, smart, you know, but we need to do more in saying that we embrace technology, embrace digital skills, and then we put the effort to see that we leverage these platforms, you know, and set our region and see that we've achieved exponential growth.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, Idris, for joining us and sharing your insights in the program.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, the program continues. To stay with us.
Today on Tech Tips, we'll be giving you tips on acquiring new tech skills. Whether you're starting from scratch or looking to expand your expertise, here are a few tips to get you started. Step 1. Set clear goals. Before diving into learning, identify what you want to achieve and why. Whether it's mastering a programming language, becoming proficient in data science, or understanding cloud computing, having a clear objective helps you stay focused. Step 2. Start with online courses and tutorials. There are many platforms that offer free or affordable courses on virtually every tech topic. Platforms like Coursera, Udemy, and FreeCodeCamp provide structured learning paths. Step 3. Practice consistently. Tech skills, particularly coding, require consistent practice. The more you apply what you've learned, the more proficient you'll become. Step 4. Join online communities. Tech learning can be isolating, but being part of a community allows you to exchange ideas, ask questions, and get feedback. Many online communities are dedicated to specific tech skills. Step 5. Work on real-world projects. Applying your skills in real-world scenarios is one of the best ways to solidify your knowledge. Whether through internships, freelance projects, or personal projects, hands-on experience is invaluable. And finally, step 6, learn by teaching others. One of the best ways to understand something is to explain it to someone else. Teaching others forces you to break down complex topics, which reinforces your own understanding.
And this is where we draw the curtains. Do well to follow us across all our social media platforms for more programs, news, and documentaries. My name is Dorcas Yakubu. Until next time, goodbye.